Hi creators, Doro Kiley here with Creation Coach, and boy, I love this time of year. I'm back from my walk, and I just wanted to share with you one thing that probably has had to endure more poison than any other plant other than the dandelion. So I'm going to put up here this little plant here. I know you've all seen it. This is plantain. This plantain is the most nutritious and delicious and medicinal plant in the United States. In fact, it was brought here from the European settlers from Europe intentionally to grow it as a medicine and as a food. And it also gives little seeds at the end of its seasons, which can be pounded into flour. So it was, for them at that time, it was the most useful plant that they could bring. Very, very easy to grow, tough little guy. So yeah, it's everywhere, and it's more nutritious, 10 times more nutritious than spinach, if you can look at it that way. You can eat every single part of it. Similar to the dandelion, the old weed dandelion. Also a very nutritious food from top to bottom. You can roast the roots and make a little bit of a coffee. So yeah, two of the most what we would call noxious weeds turn out to be the most nutritious. So live and learn. So today, let's see, I wanted to talk about a question that comes up often, and it's, how do you know what's real? And that's a really good question these days because of our technologies. We're going into the metaverse and deep fakes. It's becoming increasingly difficult to tell the difference. And that's gonna snowball. I mean, it won't be long at all before we all can't really tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. So what do you do? What do you do? You know, that could lead to anything. It could lead to going into the most blissful heavenly realms, or it could take you into the most dismal, darkest realms. So we're at this precipice of being able to choose which way we want to go. Isn't this interesting? This has got to be part of our evolution. We're just cracking out of this shell or this cocoon, this egg, and we have no guarantee of survival. We are in a very vulnerable position right now. And I think we would benefit by, first of all, not panicking. I think a lot of people are kind of going into this extremely anxious, angry, fearful place. And I think we kind of have to have a little bit of that just because it's part of us, it's in our nature. But I don't think we need to really be that. We have other options of cultivating our existence. So I'm going to share down below a video I just watched called Gregg Braden, which brings up kind of a whole other side of the story about are we living in a simulated reality? So getting back to, what's real. This is a really big question right now because we're all looking around and saying, gosh, I could be in the middle of a game here, just like I am when I put on my, my goggles. So it's feeling more and more like the line is getting thinner and thinner. The veils are almost disappearing. So how do we know what's real? How can we stay anchored? Well, Charles Eisenstein says the most beneficial thing we can do is to contemplate the beauty of this creation. Because if we kind of get sucked into the fear, yeah, it's there. It's totally there. We can go that way. But if we contemplate the awesome beauty of this creation, it's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, yeah, I think we are in a simulation, but on the deepest level of our being, unconsciously, we are creating this dream together. This is our simulated reality. It's all of us. And if somebody's more conscious of it than I am, yeah, they can take me on their little ride. So if I wake up and we all wake up, we can see we are all playing here. This is all just us seeing what we can become and who we are for the experience. As Ram Dass said, it's the only dance there is. We're doing this to know ourselves, to know what we can become. We are creators. And we created this. So if we're getting all sucked into the fear and the anger and the reactivity, then we have enacted a reality. We have turned on that level of the game. And that becomes your reality. Not everybody has to play that reality, but oftentimes it can be something so real that the whole world believes in it. This kind of, I shouldn't go down this rabbit hole, but there's a whole other science of called sacred geometry, and the whole universe is built on shapes and forms and mathematics, and on that deepest level, we all know how to put this Lego set together. We know how to do this. And what we have done now at this point is we have, okay, so we come out of the oneness and we divide into elements and consciousnesses and, you know, whatever there is, the archangels and Elohim and all, whatever, whatever your terminology is. I don't get confused by that. But we create the elements, and now we've got water, and now we've got earth and air and fire. And anyway, that's a very long, complicated philosophical. But the thing is, this is us. We are doing it. And we have created such a complex, convoluted, kind of right down to the nitty-gritty, so small that we have become congested in the lower realms of what we are deeming as very real and very suffering and very hurtful and dangerous, and that has now become part of our reality, and it's pretty intense and has the potential to get very intense. So we have to just wake up and say, yeah, this is, now we've got to just go through it. We can't backtrack. There's no backtracking. We only go forward. So we're going through, this is the way I perceive it. I'm not a psychic. I don't consider myself even a spiritual teacher, but this is my perspective of the universe, that we have complicated our lives to the point where we're going to go through a kind of a wind tunnel or under a bridge, or we're going through something you could call, I see it as we're going through the center of the shape of the torus. And so the easiest thing we can do is to stop being afraid, because that's just going to give us rug burn. I mean, that's going to make it worse. Stop being afraid. And I've said this before in my other videos. Okay, so what's the opposite of death? All right, everybody says life. No, it's not. Birth is the opposite of death. What's the opposite of life? Life has no opposite. It goes on and on and on. So we just have to remember that we are just going on and on and on. Now we can, be in and out of the cycling around and around, as you would study in all of the Eastern philosophies, life after life. So we're just coming and going, but we're doing this together. And we have come to the point where we have congested ourselves into the point we're going into the singularity. We're going into unity. We're going into the one. And we have the opportunity to get a sense of, gosh, we could do anything now. We're going to come out the other end born. The flower's dying. Here we are. We're the fruit. Here we go. What are we? I think we are powerful enough creators to sort of cast that net and decide. Similar to what Deepak Chopra would say when you sit down to meditate. You go into this void, this nothingness, what he would call the gap between thoughts, between words, and what you drop in there. You surrender your wish. I wish, blah. You give it a scaffold to build on. You give the universe something to work on, and you let go of it. In fact, all the meditation practices are basically a practice of letting go and relaxing into it. I did a talk recently that awakening is like falling out of an airplane. And suddenly you're, oh my God, where's my parachute? And there's terror, and there's fear, and there's scrambling, and there's grasping and kicking, and you fall and fall and fall, and this goes on until you realize you never hit ground. That in the awakening process there is no end. You are in free fall. We are all in free fall. And we're just going through the wind tunnel together. So we don't need to be scrambling and grasping and becoming so reactive. And I'm going to quote this again. This is Charles Eisenstein. Contemplating the beauty of creation is the most useful thing we can possibly do right now. It is not a substitute for useful action. It is the wellspring of useful action. In other words, it's not if you're contemplating the beauty, you're not avoiding action, even like the work of a samurai. You do your duty, but you're not doing it out of reactivity or anger or anything. So it's not contemplating beauty is not a substitute for avoiding action. It is in that place where action will come from. It's the wellspring of right action. You don't have to plan it. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to compare it. You don't have to judge it. You just be at peace. You contemplate the beauty of this world, this creation. We did this. And now we're going to go through our little tunnel and wake up. Our flowers dropping, and here comes the fruit. And I just want us to feel good about that. We're going into all this fear. Yes, it's entropy. Flowers die. It's okay. It's the what are we gonna make? That's where I want to go. I don't want to try to hang on to what we've been doing. I don't want to repeat what we've been doing. I don't want to go back to any good old day. I want to move forward. And all I want is for us to know where we're going, or to agree with where we're going. I feel like we are on a path that is infinitely potentially creative right now. So think about what we would do together. We are like little points of magnetism in the ocean. There's me, there's you. We're just little pinpoints of magnetism. And as we move, we're we are attracting the energies, the waters that we are resonating at. Who we are is what we are going to be attracting. So let's make something beautiful. I think this is the time to really put some energy into that. So let's stay creative. Hi creators, it's Doro Kiley with creationcoach.com, and I'm on a mission to improve this world through you. If you get anything through these videos, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay creative.